The peace of the Lord be with you. I am Maria Socorro Mendoza Dichoso, 72 years old, married, and three children, and a resident of Malate, Manila. I was asked to share how Mama Mary Mediatrix touched my life. She started doing so right at my birth. I was born on December 18, 1948, in Manila, with what is medically termed as a deficient ossification of the cranium at my left parietal region that was as large as the can vapor. The only cover that prevented my brain from coming out was the skin. Predictably, I developed incipient meningitis. My father, Dr. Telesforo Mendoza, who became head of the neuroanatomy department of the College of Medicine of UST. Not only my father, but many UST doctors examined my condition. Their unanimous consensus and recommendation to my parents was to bring me to USA for immediate operation because there was no hospital at that time and adequate facilities. Otherwise, I would die. Considering that I was a newly born baby and we were financially inadequate, my father asked my mother to be ready for the inevitable. But instead of losing hope, my mother ran to Lipa Carmel Monastery for prayers and help. The apparition of Mama Mary, Mediatrix of all praise, and the shower of rose petals in 1948 were the talk at that time. The Carmelite sisters gave her a couple of rose petals, which she promptly placed here on my head, while the family prayed the novena to Our Lady Mary Mediatrix of all grace. What happened next was recorded and published in Spanish at the August 1949 edition of the Voz Estudiantil organ of UST. The article was translated into English by Sister Rosiana Mendoza, who is she is an ICM and who is our eldest sister. Her translation was verified as correct and signed by our mom, Rosario Cosme Mendoza, and by Dr. Ronaldo Asuncion, head of the division of the Radiology Department of UST Hospital. In English, this is how my father related what happened next.
I continued studying the case and asked advice from my colleagues, Dr. Virgilio Ramos, Dean of the College of Medicine, and Dr. Renato Guerrero, Head of the Pediatrics Department. Many doctors were telling me that the future of my daughter was uncertain and that the only remedy for this was to have treatment abroad. I continued observing and was still undecided on what to do until the afternoon of Friday, January 28, 1949, the fourth day of the novena. When I arrived home that afternoon, I noticed that the child was in a state of stupor. My wife told me that the child slept the whole afternoon. I observed the child again and noticed that she seemed to become stiff, a possible sign of meningitis, a complication which I expected with fatal results. 2 hours after the child showed these symptoms, she started to move, opened her eyes, and began crying aloud. Out of curiosity, I examined the head again, and what a surprise I had to see that the tumor suddenly disappeared. I could not believe what happened, so I called my wife and the whole family to confirm what I observed, and everybody saw that the tumor really disappeared. I examined the cavity and noticed that it was closed with the formation of a column around its border. I requested Dr. Garcia to take X-ray pictures to verify the findings, and the X-ray showed clearly a dense line, which was a border of the cavity that closed. The X-rays gave the impression that a piece of bone protruding from the cavity was pushed in, and the borders of the cavity sealed. These are all I have to say about this, and the only explanation I can give is that it is supernatural. The only thing I can do now is to thank Our Lady of Lipa for giving us a cute, perfectly happy, normal daughter with an intelligence of the children of her age.
Naturally, all the members of our family became devotees of Mama Mary, Mediatrix of all grades. There being no confraternities of Mama Mary Mediatrix, my parents served God and the Church in other ways. They became caretakers of the Santo Sepulcro of Paco Church. My father put up a free medical clinic in Paco Parish with him as attending doctor. He would at times bring resident doctors of UST to serve. He helped establish Catholic Charities and is now called Caritas Manila and engaged in other projects and activities of the Manila Archdiocese, reason why he was awarded and confirmed as a Knight of the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem, or simply Knight of the Holy Sepulchre. My mom, in turn, served as member and president of Catholic Women's League, Paco Church chapter, for 2 years. Our eldest became a sister of the Congregation of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, simply ICM, or Belgian Sisters, that run St. Teresa's College and other schools and missions in the Philippines. She was assigned to work as directress and dean of College of St. Teresa's College of Cebu. Due to advancing age, she is now 87 years old. She was placed in retirement in Quezon City. Lisa Marquez, prior to migrating and becoming a U.S. citizen, participated actively in the activities of the Legion of Mary. One of our twin sisters joined the Carmelite sisters in Lucena City. Her twin Milagros took care of our mother until her death. She helped Lucena Carmel in the delivery of hosts in Metro Manila. Two of my siblings have gone ahead to heaven. I was blessed to be married to a lawyer with whom we have 3 children. Our children are all married now. Our eldest is a CPA and a graduate of MBA at De La Salle University and a SAP specialist. She left her high-paying job after getting married to a computer engineer to be able to bear a child who is now 3 years old. Our second daughter is now a doctor of medicine and is into pediatrics. She is married to a lawyer. They have a bright 6 years old boy, and our youngest, a son, is a computer engineer, a lawyer, and a graduate with distinction of the MBA program of the Asian Institute of Management. He now works at First Philippine Holdings Corporation. He is married to a lawyer. They have a healthy 7 months old baby boy. These are all the blessings of the Lord in the mantle of protection of Mama Mary, Mediatrix of all grace. In gratitude to God and as a way of sharing our blessings, we give as gifts to classmates, friends, and acquaintances items that we bought from the store of the Carmel Monastery, like Profilos with the image of Mama Mary Mediatrix printed on one side and the words I am your mother on the other side. Stickers, calendars, bookmarks, but more especially bracelet rosaries and scapulars. We tell recipients of the Lipa apparitions and messages of my own miraculous cure and of Mama Mary's appeal for prayers, especially the Holy Rosary, and to frequent the sacraments of the Eucharist and of reconciliation. Then we teach them the location at the nearest church or chapel in the Ayala Center in Makati. We tell them that priests are available for confessions daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Greenbelt Chapel. That was before the pandemic. Because to be printed and distributed for free the secret of happiness or the 15 prayers revealed by our Lord to Saint Bridget of Sweden in the Church of Saint Paul in Rome. What motivated us were the promises of our Lord to those who shall pray these prayers for a year. The first three promises alone promise salvation to 45 members of your own lineage. Wow! These prayers are endowed with promises of so many salvations, graces, and blessings because they are meditative prayers and the Passion of Christ centered on his seven last words. They also caused the printing and free distribution of the book on purgatory of Father Schuch, S.J., that my husband abridged with the knowledge of 10 books and publishers. At the back of the book, we reproduce the article of Manila Bulletin columnist Father Bel San Luis, SVD. Does Purgatory Exist? Published in November of 1997. We gave out copies of this book especially on the wake of deceased relatives and friends. We want people to be aware of the pains and sufferings of souls in purgatory, help them avoid it, and induce them to pray and gain plenary indulgences to shorten their stay in purgatory of the souls of their deceased family members and friends. We formed and joined a cenacle prayer group that prayed the rosary and used the spiritual reading, the Blue Book of Father Stefano Bupi. After a number of years, that group dwindled and eventually dissolved with the death of some of the members and the formation of new cenacle group by the other members. Then we joined and became members of the Contemplative Outreach Philippines, where we were introduced to the human condition, as explained and expounded by Trappist Abbot Father Thomas Keating. He rightly pointed out that what we see of us are not our true selves, which are made in the image and likeness of God. What we see instead are our desires, expressed as attachments or aversions in the conscious level of our false self system. These desires arise from emotional programs for happiness that are bound to fail, that emanate from our energy centers of security and survival, power and control, esteem and affection that all lie in our unconscious. Left to our own, we shall be enslaved hopelessly our entire life to our addictions or bad habits. But such is not the case. We have the twin prayer of centering prayer and lectio divina that help free us of our emotional and moral difficulties. Those interested to learn more of this topic may get in touch with the COP Secretariat with contact details shown in this post. Mama Mary Mediatrix showed her perspective in my life in simple and ordinary ways through her sticker, her picture, or her statue. Let me tell you of two incidents. First, when we brought my mother to UST hospital and were told that she was inoperable of her stomach cancer due to her old age, 89 years old, I rode a jeepney home sad. Suddenly, a SUV overtook our jeepney. At its back was the sticker of Mama Mary Mediatrix with the words, I am your mother. She was like saying to me, my daughter, do not be sad. I, too, am your mother. Second, in October of 2003, my husband suffered his first heart attack at the Makati Medical Center where we brought him. Nobody paid attention to him. I ran to the medical director, Dr. Corrie, for help. It was only after his secretary called up the emergency room that my husband was attended to. The doctor who examined my husband recommended that he be injected with a blood thinner as the fastest and cheapest remedy. We were warned, however, that one possible consequence would be aneurysm anywhere in the body. My eldest daughter and I got scared and would not agree. I was inspired to call up Sister Teresing Castillo for prayers and help. Upon learning of my husband's condition, she rushed to the emergency of Makati Medical. She prayed over my husband, talked to him, and convinced him to agree to a heart operation, which she had years earlier. Finally, my husband agreed to be operated on. He received one stent. Reason he is still alive today. On my way to the canteen, I was crying and thanking the Lord and Mama Mary, saying over and over, who are we that they sent Sister Teresing over to us? As I passed the cashier's office, I glanced and lo, I saw a picture of Mama Mary Mediatrix on the wall. And then I smelled roses. Grabe ang pet ang roses ang amoy. Her words crossed my mind. I am your mother. I take care of your needs. And really, the roses were there. What was amazing was this. When the cardiologist, Dr. Bom Javier, saw my husband's angiogram, he noted that the blood passing to the left artery descending of my husband's heart was hair thin. Kasing nipis na lang po ng isang strand ng buhok ang dumadaloy sa dugo. Dr. Javier told me to thank the Lord that my husband survived for 5 hours with that dangerous heart condition. To many of our friends, it was a miracle. Perhaps many of you watching would wonder, how long have we been acquainted with Sister Teresing Castillo? Since early 1990s, when Sister Teresing was residing in Tambo, Parañaque. Whenever we meet Sister Teresing, was excited and happy to share with us her experiences. We were surprised when she disclosed to us that until that time, Mama Mary Mediatrix continued to appear to her, shower her face in Parañaque with petals, and to give her messages. She showed and lent to us her transcript of the apparitions and the messages. When we read the transcripts, we decided to have Sister Teresa disseminate the messages. We compiled the messages to the youth, to the parents, and to the priests and religious. We had them printed and distributed them for free, first by mail among the priests and religious, in complete sets with the help of a Catholic directory that we bought before, before we started giving them out to the public. Here are the samples of the messages in print. I shall gladly share these messages to the youth, the parents, and the priests and religious, except that when we tried to record the entire sharing, we tracked down over 30 minutes. It was too long. So I shall divide my sharing into two parts, this part and the next on the messages. I conclude the first part of my sharing with the following statement. My life story demonstrates that the apparitions of Our Lady, Mary, Mediatrix of All Grace at Lipa Carmel Monastery in 1948 are true. What happened to me and to Sister Melania Sunga, an Assumption nun, are fruits of the apparition, which as a whole constitute the tree. Our bodies provided the material evidences. The people who saw our physical conditions at that time are the eyewitnesses, and the messages themselves are proofs that they could not be the work of the devil. Satan would not teach the youth, face God above all things. Faith is the collection of truths revealed by God, and the fullness of his redemption is my son Jesus. Will Satan appear as disguised and dare say, I am your mother, ready to help as Mary, mediatrix of all grace? Can Satan say, pray, and remain close to Jesus? These messages could only come from the lips of our mother, Mary, mediatrix of all grace. Why am I so definite that my cure was a direct result of the apparition in the past? The petals placed on my head came from the shower of petals in Lipa, gathered and given by the Carmelite sisters to my mom. And the Divina my family prayed was to Our Lady Mary Midak of all grace. My own father could not attribute my cure that occurred in a short span of 2 hours without any medication or medical intervention whatever to anything except to those two factors I mentioned. My miracle story and that of Sister Melania Suma are not the only fruits of the Lipa apparitions. Over the years, I have encountered people who related to me their own miraculous stories of that or that of relatives or friends. If our church authorities will will call on the faithful to come up to testify, they will be surprised that so many will stand up to be recognized. Ave Maria.